This Friday edition of Pucks Across Borders brought to you by none other than First Round Collectibles. You remember back to Christmas, I told you they had this dope sale of sports cards up to 50% off. Well, surprise, surprise, that sale is still going strong. You can buy whatever sports card you want: hockey, football, basketball, baseball, even wrestling, and even boxing for up to 50% off. And with the promo code Sports Addict, you get 10% off. Doesn't matter if your card is on sale or not on sale. Doesn't matter. You get it for an additional 10% off. Use promo code Sports Addict at firstroundcollectibles.com today to get 10% off your order. That's the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original. I am not the same as these cats. I sting them if they never.
And welcome to Pucks Across Borders on a Friday afternoon, a little bit later than we have this past week, but we are here and we are ready to talk about a ton of action across the league last night. Only one game to break down on the ice tonight, but we're going to talk a little Stadium Series, of course, get to our bad beats and what we learned last night. We are affiliated with Total Apex Sports, still a little issue connecting with technology, but shout out to Total Apex and thanks for having us on board. All right, let's get right down to it. You read his work about the NFL on gridironheroics.com. John, how are you feeling on a Friday afternoon, man?
Pretty good, man. Looking forward to get into the hockey before the long weekend. Busy day over at Gridiron, too. So nice to talk pucks.
Yes, sir. Plus, you're making some seafood for dinner. You got the smell of seafood in the air, talking hockey. What a Friday, eh?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Living the dream. And at the bottom of your screen, you read his work about the NFL on Gridiron Heroics as well. You read his work on Winners and Whiners. You also see him on Total Apex talking NBA, talking NFL, and talking some college hoops today as well. He does it all, knows it all. Andre, how you feeling on a Friday, bro?
I wish I knew it all, but I appreciate you, and I'm doing pretty well. Really ready for the weekend. So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're almost there. We're almost there. All right, let's get into it, boys. Last night, a crazy, crazy night across the NHL. Lots that we can choose from. With the format of the show, we only get one each, so choose wisely. John, we'll start with you, man. What's your takeaway in the NHL last night?
My takeaway was something I didn't really realize when we were doing the show yesterday, but it took the Devils broadcast last night to make me aware of this. That's the fact that last night's slate of games broke the record for the most Stanley Cup final rematches in one night in NHL history. My boys, I did mention this on the show yesterday, my boys were included in that against the LA Kings, throwback to about, I think, 11 or 12 years ago now. The most recent one was Tampa Bay and Colorado. I'm kicking myself for not mentioning that yesterday on the show. That was definitely a relevant one. Pittsburgh and Chicago, if you want to go back to the 90s. Ottawa and Anaheim going back to the thousands. And one I would have never guessed in a million years. An original 6 between the Rangers and the Canadiens was one of the 5. So all 5 of those matchups took place last night. Some were better than others. I'd say about half of them were notable. My team was probably the most competitive in coming up short. Tampa Bay went wild last night in the third period against Colorado. But it was just a nice, fun fact. I didn't really realize it at the time during yesterday's show, but there were definitely some notable rematches to remember from yesterday, and some I'd like to forget.
So we got some time today. Only one game going on tonight, a couple that we'll get into for the Stadium Series. But talk to me about your Devils, man. Because like Dawes, like he, from what I heard, like he kept them around in that game. It was also kind of noted to be kind of a game that the Devils let get away. Like there was some feeling that they should have won that game. Would love to kind of hear your thoughts on that and what you're kind of expecting down the stretch here, because like we need points and we need them in a hurry. I do quickly want to say though, Jack Hughes chirping Victor Arvidsson. My mind's blanking. I think that's his last name, right? My mind's blanking. But either way, they go in the penalty box together. Did you guys hear this? Goes in the penalty box together, and he starts chirping old Victor, saying, "People pay to come see me, bud." Like, I absolutely love it, man. I feel like the NHL has tried to take that away, like tried to limit down the chirping and all that kind of stuff. And that's a piece of the game that I miss. Just being like, "Hey, man, people people pay to come see me, man. I don't know who you are." And I mean, like, he's no slouch. Like, he's not some fourth line plug. Like, he's a good player. First game, maybe of the year, but at least for a few months. But yeah, I thought that was pretty humorous from Jack Hughes last night. Some cocky swag, but yeah, quickly, what are your thoughts on that game last night? And time's a ticking, John.
There was a lot of overall emotion from Hughes last night. Not only that, but he like smashed his stick on the bench. I think after they gave up one of their goals last night. I've rarely seen Jack Hughes display that sort of anger. And not that he hasn't done it before, it's just not common. I see it like that. So
Sure.
I do like the fact our leader's getting a little more, one of our leaders at least, getting a little emotional and tell he's invested. I'm not fully panicked about the time yet, not as much as I was. Last night was definitely a tough loss, but I mentioned on the show yesterday, it was the third game in 4 nights for the Devils, and I think that's all it was. They just did not have the legs and the firepower that they usually do. It was their offense that lost them the game, some lazy defense at times, because the special teams was really the issue last night, because the 2 goals they allowed, one was a shorthanded goal on a breakaway with 5 seconds left on their power play, something like that. And the second one was during a Kings power play. So the special teams really let them down. I think the Devils' defense got lazy sometimes, and the offense, I don't think, had the same firepower that they usually do, mainly because I just don't think they had the legs last night. You're right about Dawes, though. He did not lose that game for them. I thought he played pretty well. Only allowed 2 goals. I think the rest of the team just let him down in front of him. And I think that's something they can build off of. And maybe Jack Hughes can fire this team back up. We're only 2 points behind the Red Wings still, so I'm not fully panicked about the time yet. They're still they could still catch them for sure.
Yeah, Detroit losing last night helps you, but if you win like that, that really helps you. Like, you got to capitalize on those. But man, Dawes, like, that was his third game in 4 nights too. Like, he's played all 3 games in the last few days for them. So definitely encouraging. All right, Andre, what about you, man? What's your takeaway from the NHL last night?
Well, my takeaway requires a little time travel to April of 2023, when the Vancouver Canucks won 4 of their last 5 games to finish their season 38, 37, and 7, 83 total points. Didn't even come close to sniffing the playoffs. So let's flash forward to last night, and Vancouver won their 37th game of the year already, basically matched the win total. Got the 80th point of the season. First team to do that. Pretty much matched the point total from a year ago. Like John said in the pre-show, it was either, I think it was John, might have been you, Mark, I don't remember, but one of you pointed out that their goal differential is almost 20 ahead of the next closest team, and it's true, they're plus 61. The Panthers are plus 43. we show a lot of love to this team, more than Vegas does. But how about those Canucks? What
Oh
a
yeah.
difference 10 months has made. They're atop the league. Who saw this coming? And they're doing it in pretty much every way. 4-1 win last night against the Red Wings was pretty good. And they're winning the race for the President's Trophy right now, at the very least.
Do you guys think they'll end up being the favorites to win the Stanley Cup by the time the playoffs come around?
No, I don't.
Uh,
Like
about the
Vegas
President's
guys, you
Trophy?
mean? Like you're
Yes.
talking Vegas?
Yes.
No, I don't. I think it'll still be Edmonton. I think it'll still be Vegas. I think it'll still be Rangers. Like I think it'll be teams that have cachet. The Canucks are still being like overlooked by the books still.
yeah,
For sure.
100%.
What about the President's Trophy? Do we think they're going to hang on for that? Because I think they're leading the league in points right now.
They're leading right now, and they have a 6-point cushion, but I feel like the Panthers are.
Oh man,
I feel like the Panthers are coming. It would be kind of funny if the Panthers and Bruins just kept alternating the President's Trophy and then falling
Yeah,
apart in the
sure.
playoffs. But no, I think they're going to win the West for sure. At least regular season, like top seed. I'm not 100% sold on them with the President's Trophy yet. I feel like the Panthers are really riding high right now. It can catch them.
yeah, I feel like with the Canucks, like I would have to look deeper at their schedule because I think that like obviously does play a factor who they're playing in the last month and a half of the year. But yeah, I think if Florida doesn't catch them, I mean, like Vancouver's one of those teams, man, that like we all were kind of talking like, are they going to drop off? Are they not going to drop off? And I mean, Winnipeg was that team too. And Winnipeg, like they've dropped off over the last few weeks. And they actually play tomorrow, which is going to be a really, really good game tomorrow night. Lots of good games in the NHL actually tomorrow. But I think they can do it. But yeah, Florida. And I mean, listen, Andre, you're a professional. If I ever saw one, you knew what my takeaway was. You mentioned the Florida Panthers, and let's segue, shall we, to my takeaway from last night. The Florida Panthers. And I just want everybody to know, if you watch the show every day, you know that I'm self-absorbed and all I talk about is the Maple Leafs, and I'm doing everything I can to not bring up the fact that Austin Matthews had 3 goals in 7.5 minutes yesterday. I won't do it, though. My takeaway is the Florida Panthers, man. They win again. Boston loses again. And what did we talk about a couple days ago? Florida is now first place in the Atlantic, first place in the Eastern Conference. And the more I watch this team, man, I don't know who can beat them in 7 games. And if there is a team that can beat them in 7 games, and I'm talking specifically in the East, it's not in the Atlantic. Like, I don't think that the Bruins can beat them in 7 games. I don't think the Leafs can beat them in 7 games. The only team, for whatever reason, the only team that I really think can challenge them is the Rangers. There's something about the Rangers that I really, really like. Their depth. When they want to play defense, they can lock you down. There's like a couple leaky nights that we've seen, Andre? But that Rangers team, I think they can compete with Florida. There's something about them that I like. But, man, that Florida team, and if I don't know if they have home ice all the way through, how much home ice matters in Florida, I'm not entirely sure.
Not sure how much it matters for them.
Yeah,
but
but
they play one of those Northeast teams.
Yeah. But either way, man, Florida wins. Shutout victory last night. Huge. Honorable mention for takeaways. Dallas destroys Nashville 9-2. Matt Duchene played for the Predators, signed a nice deal, got bought out by them in the summer. he's on the record of saying he was surprised. He didn't know it was coming. He was hurt by it, was saddened by it. Well, he comes to town, scores 2 goals. What does he do on his way out? He's having a great year, by the way, 50 plus points, like really breaking out again in Dallas. What does he do on his way out of town? He stops by a famous bar called Tootsie's and grabs his guitar, plays at an open mic. I heard a Morgan Wallen cover or Wallen cover, just burning it down. What a night for him, eh? Sticks it to his old team and sings a little song on the way out. That's some storybook stuff right there. All right. Only a few games to break down here. Before we get to bad beats, is there anything else? I know I'm putting you guys on the spot, but is there anything else that kind of stood out from last night? Because pretty much every team almost played last night, so there's a lot to get to.
Well, I was going to mention the Matthews hat trick in a bit. And I forgot to honorable mention it with Chris Kreider's hat trick last night. So I guess those and the Lightning offense, they really impressed me yesterday too. So
huge. Oh yeah, because
Tampa's definitely showing some heart. I was sweating out that pick a little bit before, like last night in the third period.
Yeah.
They finished strong.
Tampa's looked good this week, I gotta say. Tip my cap to them.
Yeah. And I mean, like that Sergachev injury, like you wonder, like you rally around it. That was a really emotional injury, right? Like he comes back after being out for a few months, doesn't even get through a full game and goes down. That was a super emotional injury, and you do wonder if that like kind of galvanized them a little bit. How long that lasts, I still don't have a ton of faith in that team, but you're absolutely right. Playing great. Well, I want to hear what you have to say, Andre, about Austin Matthews. So why don't we migrate over? Because I feel like I know how you're going to sneak this in there. Let's get to our bad beats. And Andre, actually, you know what? We'll start with me real quick because I owe you guys an apology. Last night, Andre, you had Boston Kraken under 5.5. That hit. Congratulations. John, you had Tampa Bay money line. That hit. Congratulations. I had Sidney Crosby over 3.5 shots. And the dude scores 2 goals and has 3 shots. So we were a half shot away from a back-to-back sweep in our best bet segment. And I feel like that happens every time we sweep. I feel like the following night we go 2 for 3. I feel like that's happened multiple times. So that's my bad beat from last night. Sidney Crosby, half a shot. I think the part that stings the most is that he got 2 goals. Like it's not like he scored 2. He got more or 1 less goal than he got shots. Andre, over to you, man. What's your bad beat from last night? Talk to me.
That's like when you bet the sorry to bring this up, when you bet the shots on goal. I don't remember who it was, and they didn't register a single shot, but they had a goal because they got hooked on the
that was you
at the net chance. Was that me? I don't remember.
Coleman.
That sounds familiar.
Coleman, right?
Was that part of? Yeah, I was gonna say, was that part of me in the Flames? We were fighting.
That was when you guys were fighting.
Yeah. I couldn't remember what it was. I remember.
I still forget how that's possible. That's a whole other thing.
Oh yeah. No, man, like if we go back and we watch all the shows, even going back to when we were on Total Apex strictly, like your relationship with the Flames has been a roller coaster, man. There's a lot happening in there. Lots of drama.
We're stronger than ever. There's no way we break up now. My bad beat is it involves your boys, Mark. They got their 2 points yesterday. I'm really proud of them. I thought they were going to win the game. I thought they were going to win the game in 60 minutes, though, and I took that 60-minute line. They fell behind 1-0. I was like, oh, man, maybe this was a bad choice. I was also sweating Bruins Kraken, mind you. There was 2 goals in the first period. But anyway, Austin Matthews puts on his cape in the second period. 3 goals in under 8 minutes. He's on pace for 70 this season, I believe now. Monster. I'm like, oh, I should have stuck with -1.5. The Maple Leafs are a wagon again. Like, just the Flyers, get out of here. And in that third period, when they just clawed their way back and the Tortorella grit just came through. 1 goal, cut it to 1. I'm sweating. Next goal, tie it. There's like 5 minutes left. I'm like, oh man, Leafs, you got to score 1. Toronto gets a power play. I'm like, okay, they can do this. Like, this is the Toronto power play. Doesn't work. They go to overtime and they won. But
yeah,
they were so close to that 60-minute line, man.
Well, what's really funny about that game, dude, like if you two want to know why I'm so hard on this team and why Toronto media and Toronto fans are so hard on this team, go back and watch last night's game front to back. Watch it all. You can fast forward commercials, of course. Watch that game last night, because that is the Leaf season in an absolute nutshell. You don't show up for the first half of the game. The first 30 minutes, you're a no-show. Then Austin Matthews scores 3 goals in 7.5 minutes and takes the game over. And now all the momentum is Toronto. And then with 6 minutes left in the game, you're up 3-1 and you go into overtime. Like, that's legit like the Leafs season in a nutshell. And it is beyond frustrating. Like, it's just, you walk away from that game last night and you're like, that was incredible. But it's like this feeling of like, on the one hand, like, you no-showed for 30 minutes, so you shouldn't have even got to overtime. But then you were up 3-1, so you shouldn't have even got to overtime. Like, it's like the most frustrating thing, dude. I can't even explain it to you. But hey, and it's actually funny because I was kind of considering that as a takeaway on the Philadelphia side, where they come to Toronto and they dominate for the first 30 minutes, go down 3-1, and somehow find a way to get to overtime. Like, it's like the complete opposite. Like, they started the game having no business losing the game. And then by the time we got to the third period, they had no business winning the game. And to kind of salvage that point was really impressive by then. All right, John, what's your bad beat last night, bro?
I don't think I can top you guys. You had a couple of heartbreakers there, but I'll mention one I feel like I made a mistake picking from the get-go. And that was on the show yesterday when we were doing the Edmonton-St. Louis game. I mentioned during that segment that I really didn't like anything in that game in particular, that the puck line seemed too rich for Edmonton, and I was a bit shaky. About the Oilers in that game in general. I just didn't see enough from St. Louis to really convince me. And it's very ironic. I said I didn't think they had the offensive firepower to keep up with them. Well, then last night they make me look very bad, and they score 6 goals on Edmonton. So I think this is just a bad beat of just not listening to my gut on that game, because I did feel something picking that game, saying St. Louis could win this game. I just chose to ignore it. So I feel like that was just one of those games I kicked myself on, and maybe just a bad pick in general. So not the strongest bad beat, but that's what I got.
Yeah, man, that was another one, right? Where you're watching these other games and you're caught up in watching the other games, and then you look down at your phone and you're like, what is happening right now? Like,
yeah, because Edmonton was leading that game in the second period too.
Yeah, man,
Louis just kind of went off in the second.
Well, and we can go deeper on this bad beat. Like, what the hell happened in Calgary yesterday? Like, what was that about?
That would be another candidate for that too. Like,
they're up 1-0 going to the second period. I look at my phone and it's like 3-1. Like, when did this happen? Yeah, unbelievable. Well, all right, let's move on. Now, normally when I see a game, when there's only one game on a Friday night and it starts at 9 o'clock, I would chirp the league for this. Like, you got one game, it's on at 9. Like, however, I chirped the league for the scheduling. Like, earlier on in the week, we had 2 games at 7:30, one game at 10. Like, the scheduling in the NHL is stupid to me sometimes. That being said, you got to give credit where credit's due, because last night was a masterpiece. Like, you had a bunch of games on at 7 o'clock, few on at 7:30, few on at 8, few on at 9, and then one on at 10. Like, that was a staggering masterpiece. So a little more of that, please. And I know next week is an insanely busy week in the NHL, so hopefully a little more of that. All right. The only game in the NHL tonight, Carolina is in Arizona. Arizona plus 180, dogs at home. Minus 218 are the Carolina Hurricanes favorited at home. Minus 1.5 on the Carolina puck line is plus 114. The Arizona puck line plus 1.5 is minus 135. The over is 6 at minus 120, and the under is plus 100. John, we'll go right back to you, man. What are you seeing in this absolute juggernaut of a game between Carolina and Arizona?
Full disclosure, I don't love anything in this game, but since it's the only game of the night, I gotta find something I somewhat like here.
Sure.
So I think the most attractive thing I can think of in this game is, surprisingly, maybe the Arizona puck line. I somewhat like that plus 1.5. I don't feel fully confident Arizona's going to win this game, but I do feel like they can keep it close. We brought this up before. Carolina is a much better home team than they are a road team. They're They're 17 6-4 at home this year, 13-11-1 on the road. So not an encouraging road record there. And on the Arizona side of things, they're a surprisingly decent home team for a team that's under 500 in general. Like, they're 15-11 at home this season. So it's making me think Arizona might be able to put up a bit of a fight here. Their goaltending is not that much worse than Carolina. Carolina allows 2.89 per game. Arizona's 3.14. Both teams are over 20% on the power play. Carolina and Arizona not bad on the penalty kill either. Just 5% separates them both. Carolina definitely is the better scoring team, but I don't think this is such a huge separation that I'd be fully confident Carolina wins by 2. I could see them slipping a little bit here. I'm not sure if I'm ready to say they'll lose the game outright. I just like this to be a close game, so I'm going to take Arizona plus 1.5 as my pick here.
Yeah, not awful with the minus 135. It's a little bit pricey, but not awful. Andre, what about you, man? What do you see in this one?
Yeah. I've had enough time in the day where I've fought the urge of just saying it's Friday, there's one game, Arizona minus 1.5. And I've really looked at this.
Arizona minus 1.5?
You heard me.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
A complete 180.
Absolutely.
I had enough time to think out of it, though, unfortunately. Sanity took over. I looked at some props for this game because I knew there was only one. And I'm gonna pick on Arizona's defense here a bit. The Canes have a good offense, nothing we don't know. Arizona has given up at least 3 goals in 6 straight games, or 7 straight games, excuse me. Since the break, they've given up 16 goals in their 4 games. The 4 teams they've played, the Wild had 43 shots against them on Wednesday. The Flyers had 34 against them on Monday. The Predators had 37 last Saturday. And I think their first game out the break against Vegas, the Golden Knights had 34. They're giving up a ton of shots. Is it Vejmelka, right? Karel Vejmelka?
Yeah.
That's how you pronounce it? Over 29.5 saves is minus 120. And I think just based on sheer volume,
That's a
he
good one.
should get that. So I think that's my favorite bet from this game. It's kind of hard. Arizona, on the one hand, is in a free fall. On the other, they have to win eventually, right? Like the streak has to end at some point. But Carolina is such a good team that's really hard to pick against them in this spot. So I'm just going to take the over, and I think the Vemelka over 29.5 saves is my favorite prop from this game. Shout out or honorable mention to Arizona Coyotes over 2.5 goals because that's minus 105.
Yeah, I love those, man. I think that save prop is beauty. Connor Ingram got hurt the other night. He's going to be out for a little bit. I think he's only day to day right now, but he is going to be out for at least a few games. And yeah, I mean, listen, you guys know I really love watching this Arizona team, even when they lose. Like this is why I think the plus 1.5 is absolutely beautiful odds. Considering like we do this every day and we see these plus 1.5 odds and they're outrageous, right? And I think minus 135 for a team that, you know, when they lost to Vegas, the whole last 10 minutes of that game was Aiden Hill with the save, Aiden Hill with the save, Aiden Hill with the save. That game against Minnesota the other night, they fought and fought and fought. I think they lost that game by 2, but they still like really fought in that third period. I feel a little weird about this game in the sense that like you guys hear me talk about this, like you got two teams who are going in opposite directions and the trends are what they are, but there's something about this that makes me feel like something's got to give for both teams. One on the negative side and one on the positive side, because Carolina since Christmas 13-5. 11 of those 18 games, by the way, have gone under, which I know you said over, Andre. The under at plus money is a little bit appealing to me. Arizona, 7-game losing streak. They've only won 6 games since Christmas. So, like, literally since Christmas, both of these teams have gone in completely opposite directions. And I feel like something is going to break for both teams tonight. I think it's a weird spot. It's the only game. It just feels awkward. And I feel like Arizona can win this game tonight. Like you, John, I think plus 1.5 is definitely the safer move for sure. But I like Arizona money line in this game. There's just something about it that I just think that they can win this game. On the Carolina side, you're talking about props. Nikish or Nickish?
Neekish. I feel like that's how I usually hear it.
I nailed it 2 times the try. Nailed it. Well, he has 4 goals in 5 games. For him to score tonight is plus 195. Clayton Keller is always somebody that I love putting a little sprinkle on an anytime goal. He is plus 205. Lawson Krause, he's another guy for Arizona who's had a very, very good year. Only 19 goals. He's not, shooting the lights out or anything, but he always has a fairly strong game. When you're watching the Coyotes, which for some weird reason I've done a lot of this year, you hear Krause's name sometimes more than Keller's. And so for him to score is plus 285. On the shot side of things, Clayton Keller's number is it's typically around 3.5. It's 2.5 tonight at minus 110. I really, really like that prop. Lawson Krause, as I just mentioned, his 3+ shot prop has done really well for me over the course of the season. However, he has 10 shots in his last 5 games. Clearly, that is 2 shots per game on average over the last 5 games. His number is over 1.5 tonight at minus 120. So I really, really like that one. I have a hard time, and I don't know, Andre, maybe you can speak some clarity to this. I have a hard time with Carolina in the props department, similar to Dallas, to where it just seems like it's a different person every night. And I don't really know I don't really know who to lean on. Like when you have a team like the Coyotes that you literally have like 3 guys who are going to do anything, where with the Hurricanes, you just have so many guys contributing. It's always somebody different every night. So I don't really like leaning on the Hurricanes for any real shot prop. All right, let's go to East Rutherford. Let's dive into the Stadium Series a little bit. Like we've already said, 1 game in the NHL tonight. You heard what we thought. So let's move on. Both of your teams playing in the Stadium Series. Philadelphia. I think New Jersey is technically home. Well, I guess they are home in East Rutherford.
Never happens with the Giants or the Jets.
What's that? Sorry?
So that never happens with the Giants or the Jets. Technically home.
Yeah, technically home. All right. So it was Philadelphia plus 130 and New Jersey minus 155 about an hour ago. It is now the Devils minus 148 and Philadelphia plus 124. And it seems like people are thinking what I'm thinking, not necessarily that Philly will win, but plus 130, minus 155. Like that seems oddly skewed, in my opinion. The over is 6.5 at plus 105. The under is minus 125. The Devils puck line is plus 164 at minus the minus 1.5 puck line, plus 164, plus 1.5 on the Flyers side of the puck line is minus 192. As always, when we talk about our teams, John, we'll start with you, man. What do you see in this game tomorrow night? And I guess the bigger question for the whole class is the fact that it's outside. Like, do you feel like you could really be confident about any of your picks? I always feel like this is such like random game. Like there's so many factors, whether it's the weather or the ice conditions. Like it just feels like it's a really tough game to predict. But John, I'll pass it over to you, man. What do you see in this game tomorrow night?
I think of the 4 teams playing in MetLife Stadium this weekend, this is going to mean the most for the Devils for 2 reasons. One, the playoff implications are the biggest for the Devils of the 4 teams involved. And number 2, well, I guess you could say the Islanders too, but I'm still leaning Devils. But 2, I think sentimentally this game means a lot for the Devils because this is the first time the Devils are playing in East Rutherford since 2007. They used to play right next to MetLife Stadium over at that throwback here, Continental Airlines Arena.
Oh, yes.
When the Devils, Giants, and Jets all shared one general parking lot stadium complex area. Then the Devils moved on up in the world and went to Newark, if you want to call it that. But honestly, this is
better things.
I will say, I don't mean to get too sidetracked here. For the Devils, it was a better move. Like, the stadium is better, and public transportation leaps and bounds better for them. So I think overall they won with the move. But getting back to this, sentimentally, this means a lot for the Devils to go back to East Rutherford and play. And I think it's going to show up in the game tomorrow night. For the fans, it means a lot for us as well. maybe I'm feeling the Stadium Series too much, but I'm picking the Devils puck line here. I really like that 1.5.
What?
It's rare I do it, but this time I'm
Yeah.
doing it.
Okay.
I think the
Love
Devils
it.
need the game more. The fact that they're playing in the Meadowlands again, I think is going to give them a little extra motivation to step up here. Also, I just think they can score more than the Flyers. They they average much higher in goals per game than Philadelphia, 3.34 compared to 2.91 from Philadelphia. The power play success is at least 10 points higher on Jersey's end as well. I think the offensive firepower and the sentimental, emotional stakes for the Devils are going to be a little too much for Philadelphia to handle. And the Devils always like to have a little fun with Tortorella as well. Throwback to 2012. Yeah, I might be speaking too much as a fan, but I really do think the Devils are going to come out flying in this one. Give me their puck line.
So, John, how long ago did the Devils move from Continental Airlines Arena?
It's like
to
16 years ago.
Right. This team has no connection to there at all. And I hate to burst your bubble, but I think it's huge for the fans. I can definitely
For the
feel
fans, it's bigger.
nostalgia. Yeah. I don't think that's enough for the Devils here. Flyers at plus money against a team that has been as probably more inconsistent than the Flyers have, because the Flyers, like, they've stocked up points, but the Flyers, like, they go on like 5-game winning streaks, then 5-game losing streaks, and then 4-game winning streaks, and then 3-game losing. Like, they're not super consistent either. Flyers at plus money, man. That was a really tough game in Toronto last night. They salvaged 1 point. I think Philadelphia is just loving this. Like, this is the perfect season for a Philadelphia sports fan. It really is. Like, nobody believed in us. You suck. We rock. Like, I don't know. I feel like Philly, I had a Philly cheesesteak last night, by the way. Not from Philly, clearly, but I'm feeling a little sentimental right now. I actually didn't even connect those dots. I had a Philly cheesesteak while I was watching Philly. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I think Philly wins this game. I just think they're the better team. That being said, like I said, with the outdoor series, I just don't know. Like, maybe they're skating in a swimming pool. Like, who knows what that ice is gonna be like? Like, it's gonna be super interesting to watch. But
let me check the weather report.
I think the Devils win, or I think little slip there. I think the Flyers win. And I think the under 6.5 is probably my safest bet in this game. Just with it being outdoor, I think it's going to be a sloppier game. I think Flyers win, and I like the under. Andre, over to you, man. What do you see here?
Yeah, I think I'm going to avoid picking a side here. I'm going to be a little bit of a coward.
Sure.
I do really like the under, though. Night game, outside. I feel like outdoor games tend to be lower scoring for the most part anyway. So, and plus the wind, wind really affects the puck, and the Meadowlands can be a very windy place. So I'm going to take the under here more than anything. I think the Devils are the better team, and I think they will have the home ice advantage. I think they'll have more fans there. So if I had to pick a side, I'd probably pick the Devils. But I'm not very confident. It's wonky, new place. So I'm just going to avoid that and stick with the under. I will say, though, these Stadium Series games this year really made me miss the old Atlantic Division, whereas us four in the Penguins.
Yeah.
What a perfect division. And also, I read the NHL.com recap of the Flyers Devils history. Some really good stuff in there. It's a really good read. I like that one.
We had a couple meetings with the Flyers in the playoffs like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Like during the 2012 run, we had to beat them too.
Well, especially like late 90s, early 2000s, like both those teams were really good. And like I had to to watch both you guys play against my team, both the Flyers and the Devils. Anytime I think about the Leafs and the Devils, I just see in my mind the Scott Stevens chicken wing, and the Devils always got the better of us. I don't think we played them a lot. I don't know if we ever beat you guys. I can't remember. I know you crushed us like 6-1 in a game 7. That was embarrassing, but anyway, I digress. One thing though, I will, yeah. One thing I will say though, with regards to the Devils, I know I picked the Flyers to win this game. However, John, speaking to the Nico Dawes thing too, I said to you a week or two ago that I believed that the Devils needed to just embrace these insane offensive performances, forget about defense, and just score goals. Like, I really did believe that. I'll tell you what, man, the last 4 games, 2-2 in your last 4 games, you're not like on a 4-game winning streak. However, like you lose last night 2-1, win 4-2, win 3-1, lose 1-0. It does feel like the Devils defensively have been getting much better over the last week and a half, which I think is an encouraging sign moving forward. So that'll be something to watch for as well.
Or can I add to that?
Please.
Real quick?
Yeah,
I think the first 2 times you guys played the Flyers, John, it went to overtime, no? And they were like 3-3 games or 2-2 going into.
To be honest, it was a while ago. I don't really remember. I'd have to look it up.
I know they were both like 2013, but I feel like they were both 2-2 games going into OT. Like one in Philly, one in Jersey. I feel like that's true. I'm not really sure.
I remember we had a low-scoring game with them early in the year, but I'd really have to look this up. I don't remember anything that sticks out.
You looking at a little draw?
Oh, okay. So I have it in front of me here. We've played like twice this year, and you're right, Andre. Both of them went to overtime. Devils won the first meeting 4-3 in Philadelphia. Then Philadelphia won the next meeting 3 weeks later, 3-2 in New Jersey.
Plus 360 to go to overtime.
There's been close games for sure. Good catch.
Might have to keep an eye out on that one.
Plus 360 to go to overtime, you said?
Plus 360, yeah.
You think a third game would go to overtime? A third meeting?
Probably not, but let's have fun with it.
All right, fair enough.
All right. Before we move on to the next game, actually, also one quick little thing I wanted to add. Nico Hischier, 3 goals in his last 5 games. The goal scoring props are not yet up on DraftKings anyway, but I like him to score tomorrow. I think it's a good spot for him. Real quick, before we move on to the next game, I got to ask you guys your opinion on something. Breaking news just popped across my phone, and I got to talk to you guys about it real quick. This is off the topic of hockey for a sec, just really quickly before we talk about your boys, Andre. So one of my biggest pet peeves is, and it all kind of peaked with the DeMar Hamlin thing last year, that whole incident with him last year. When people bet on athletes and they get hurt during the game, and all you see on Twitter is FanDuel, where's my money back? DraftKings, where's my money? Man. Hey, man, if you bet on somebody and they get hurt, it's called gambling, man. You lost your money. Like, it is what it is. Like, with the DeMar Hamlin thing, it's a little bit different. Like, the guy literally died on the field, and the game didn't even finish. Like, of course you should get your money back. The game didn't. That never happened. It was over. Like the game didn't count. Of course you should get your money back. But if you're betting on like Kevin Durant and he pulls his Achilles in the second quarter, your money's gone. Sorry, man. It's just kind of the way it goes. That's my opinion. All that being said, I bet on Tiger Woods to make the cut. DraftKings had like odds boost to double your money, maximum $10 bet. Nothing crazy. It's only $10. He just withdrew because of an illness, and he's like halfway through his second round. So his cut is literally in like an hour and a half, and he's at +2 right now. So if the cut is +3 or higher, and he technically would have made the cut, should I get my money back?
I'd lean towards no, because you have to play the third round to win the bet, in my opinion.
Such a philosophical question. I wasn't expecting.
I have many layers, man. I'm like
I feel like if you drop out, that's a loss.
I think you're right, John. Andre, do you have anything that bodes my favor or no? I think John's right.
Yeah, I think he's right too. Classic John being right.
If he
When we don't
withdrew
want him
before
to.
the tournament even started, I'd agree with you. But I think it's just one of those bad beat situations.
Oh, all right. I have a new bad
Spot
beat.
on. He's sharp today. I said John's spot on. He's sharp today.
Let's rewind half an hour and redo our bad beat segment. I have a new one. Oh, Tiger. All right, let's move on to the last game that we will be breaking down. Part of the Stadium Series as well. The New York Rangers. I don't know who's technically home, or away. This is how it was laid out on my screen when I was looking. But the Rangers and the Islanders at the same venue as the previous game. Rangers -130. These odds are from Caesars. -130, +110 are the Islanders. Rangers on the -1.5 puck line, +170. The Islanders side of the puck line, +1.5 is -204. The over is 5.5 at -120, and the under is +100. Andre, what are you seeing from this game, man?
I love the way my boys in blue are playing right now. I really do. Even though they gave up 4 goals yesterday. But there's something besides just the nature of this rivalry that scares me for this game, and it's Patrick Waugh. I feel like he has that Dan Campbell crazy type mentality where he's going to be like,
yeah,
you listen here, like we need to bite their kneecaps off, like send a message, beat them 6-4, or I guess he would say 6-0, but whatever, I feel like he has that madness that's going to get the Islanders fired up, riled up, whatever you want to use for this game. And it's going to turn into a real physical, gritty dogfight type of afternoon. First meeting of the year between these teams, though. So it'd be interesting to see how they match up chest to chest.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Two more weekend games coming up, but I like the way the Rangers are playing right now. I'm going to not only take them to win, I think I'm going to take the puck line when I do bet this game on Sunday. I'm really confident in pretty much every facet of the game. They're back to just, we can win any style of game type performance from them. And outside of that third period, I guess that 5-minute stretch in Chicago, they're playing very well since the break. I know they gave up 4 goals to Montreal yesterday, but it seemed like in that third period, everyone was just scoring because they could, not because it really meant anything for the game. So.
Yeah. I mean, that game last night to me was a 5-2 hockey game. If it felt like when the Rangers went up 5-2, it felt like that game was over. And it ended up being 7-4 because it was just a free-for-all. But to me, in my mind, the Rangers won 5-2. And whatever happened after that, it's just kind of doesn't really matter, in my opinion. John, what about you, man? What do you see in this game?
I pretty much agree with Andre. I didn't know this was the first game of the year between them.
Yeah, me neither.
That's good timing. Like what a first meeting to have in this type in the first stadium series, I guess, in the Jersey area. So yeah, Rangers Islanders, fun game. It's technically an Islanders home game, I believe, but I think realistically it'll be a Rangers home game with the crowds I would anticipate. Rangers always pack it in with the local games. I agree with Andre though about picking this game. I like the way the Rangers are playing myself. Last night was pretty notable, but I also think they match up well against the Islanders. They're pretty much better than them in every facet. Like I swear, man, all of the Islanders' strengths, the Rangers are even better in. Like the Rangers average 3.3 per game, Islanders 2.91. Rangers allow half a goal less per game than the Islanders too. One thing I really noticed that separates these two teams is like the power play versus penalty kill. Rangers power plays over 25%. Islanders are less than 72% on the penalty kill, one of the worst in the league. So I expect the Rangers to really exploit that. The total scares me a little bit. I noticed it was at 5.5. I'm personally not going to touch it. I think I'm going to stick with the Rangers puck line. I feel weirdly confident in it as well. I just don't think the Islanders can match them. And I do expect the Islanders to start dropping off a little bit. I still think they're closer to a playoff spot than I expected them to be.
Oh, they're dropping off, dude. They're
Yeah,
already.
so
They're
I think it
already
starts
on the
on
way.
Sunday. Yeah. They're
Oh,
still only 3 points back. That's the thing.
yeah, but they have 6 wins since Christmas, man.
Yeah,
Like,
so I don't know. I think the Rangers are going to make a statement Sunday. I do like that.
yeah.
I do like that puck line for them. Agree with Andre there.
So this might be overthinking it and looking kind of too deep into it. Patrick Waugh put the Islanders through a bag skate yesterday in practice. Like it was me at 14 years old. just like you guys suck, bag skate, and just suicides. Which to me, like, I don't care if you are a teenager. I don't care if you're a professional athlete. Nobody likes suicides. Like nobody likes doing that. And I feel like I don't think that this matters in the long run. I think the Islanders missed the playoffs. I think it's too little too late. I do think that the Islanders will win on Sunday. And it's nothing to do with the Rangers or even I just feel like for somebody like Patrick Waugh, like you mentioned, Andre, like he's a very, very highly respected former player in this league. And for him to get to the point 8 games into his and you're there to be like, all right, boys, on the red lines, let's go. I feel like that's gonna make you upset as a player. I think you're gonna dig deep. I think you're gonna and I don't know. I just think that this is just one of those games that I can see them winning on Sunday. So I'm actually picking the Islanders on the money line plus 110. I think it's pretty good value. I also think that the Rangers should be favored way more than this. Like I feel like to bet the Islanders, I should be getting plus, I don't know, like 120 at the minimum. But I think the Islanders can pull off this game. But I will say though, Andre, just a kind of side note, you're talking about the Rangers and how they can win many ways. I actually wrote that down, man. Like in this 6-game winning streak, they won 7-4, 2-0, 4-3, 3-1, 2-1, 7-2. Like it doesn't really matter how the game script goes. They're finding ways to win. So obviously if the Rangers won this game, it wouldn't surprise me. I just think you're a professional athlete and you're doing suicides. I feel like it's just going to get under your skin a little bit and you're going to come out and win that game. All right, let's move on to our best bets brought to you by none other than First Round Collectibles. Right now, their sale from Christmas is still going on, up to 50% off dozens and dozens of sports cards at firstroundcollectibles.com. And with the promo code Sports Addict, you get an additional 10% off. Whether the item is on sale or it's not, you get 10% off using the promo code Sports Addict at FirstRoundCollectibles.com. Like I said, man, I knew that they had wrestling. I knew that they had hockey and football and basketball and baseball. I did not know they had boxers up there. Mike Tyson's very first sports card is up there. Go check it out. FirstRoundCollectibles.com, promo code SportsAddict, 10% off. That's the number one, STRoundCollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. John, we'll go over to you first. I was thinking about this, guys. So we can either do a little same game parlay since there's only one game, and if we each have a play on tonight's game, then we can. Or if there's something else that's on the board right now that you guys like throughout this weekend, we can throw it into a little weekend long parlay. I don't mind that at all. So it's up to you guys wherever you want to go. John, we'll start with you first, man. What is your best bet on this Friday night / weekend?
This is kind of contingent on if we're doing a same game parlay or not, or if Andre ends up picking his team. Sure, is I feel as a fan compelled to pick the Devils, but I guess it depends on what we're doing.
If you want to pick the Devils, if that's your favorite pick, man, go for it. Why
I don't know
not?
if it's my favorite pick. It's definitely my most emotional pick.
Nah, man. I'm not here for your emotions. I'm here to make money. I don't care about your emotions.
I still really like the Devils either way.
All right.
Yeah, I'll still stick with it. Devils puck line.
This guy telling us for friggin' weeks not to take the Devils on a puck line. And now they're an outdoor game. The snow is falling, and it's
so that's when you should know when I pick the puck line. It's serious.
He came.
All right.
He didn't come to play. He would never do this during a weekday game.
No, he wouldn't. No, the Stadium Series has them all romantic.
When is the last time I backed the Devils puck line? Like ever?
Exactly. I feel good about it just because he did it. Genuinely.
All right. Okay. Who am I to judge?
That might really blow up in my face, but let's go for it.
Andre, what about you, man? What's your favorite pick this weekend?
Well, now I feel like I have to pick the Rangers. I was gonna go with Amelka over 29.5 saves. The Yotes are just giving up so many shots right now. Right before the break, when these teams met, the Hurricanes outshot Arizona 39-11. Just sheer volume. Give me over 29.5 saves. I think he's getting 30 saves in this one. Easy.
Do you know if you can put that in a same game parlay?
You can. I have it loaded up.
You can?
Yeah.
Amazing. So, with that being said, there's a part of me that really, really, really wants to throw the Arizona Coyotes money line in this parlay. Like, I want to do it so badly. But unlike John, I have self-control, and so I won't. Lawson Krause, like I said earlier, Lawson Krause over 1.5 shots on goal, -120, is beautiful. I know -120, it's a little pricey, but I really, really like that. Over 1.5 shots for Lawson Krause at -120.
Well, Mark, our little parlay for today is +238.
I love it.
Add John's puck line from MetLife Stadium tomorrow night. We got a +792 3-legger.
Boom.
Sending 2 days. A little juice right there. I like that.
Wow.
Andre, quick question for you. If I would have picked the Arizona puck line, what would that parlay be? Like the plus 1.5. No, like if you swap
plus
out the
one.
Oh, I thought you meant the -1.5.
no.
Jeez.
I was just
Wow,
curious
you
what a
really-
same game parlay would be. That's all.
I was
If
gonna say, John,
I
you've
would've-
really
no,
lost
I'm
your
not that
mind.
crazy. No.
Say a man after my own heart.
Yeah.
If you added the Arizona +1.5 for tonight, it's +440. It's
Okay.
pretty solid.
Yeah, I was just curious how that would have played out with a same game parlay route.
Hey man, honorable mention. Absolutely love it. And boy, speaking of honorable mention, I'm just gonna pull this up again here real quickly. This weekend, I kind of mentioned it in passing earlier in the show. There are some phenomenal games on tomorrow. Like starting at 12:30, you got Kings and Bruins. At 3:00, you got Edmonton, Dallas. 4:00, Detroit, Calgary is a pretty compelling game. 5:00, you got Florida, Tampa Bay. Nashville, St. Louis, not a compelling game from an entertainment standpoint, but from an importance standpoint, that's a huge game. Nashville and St. Louis. Shout out to my brother Andrew. He's probably watching. He watches this show because he loves me. Anaheim, his favorite team, the Ducks, are playing Toronto. Usually him and I go to the games when the Ducks come to town. It did not work out this year, but he'll be over at my house. We'll be pounding back some ribs and some wings and watching the Ducks and the Maple Leafs. Of course, the Stadium Series games. And then 10:00 tomorrow night, maybe sneakily the best game of the night, Winnipeg, Vancouver. That is a game and a half. I can't wait. Oh, hey, Andrew, my brother just commented. Hey, man, it's good to hear from you. I didn't know that I had to be on YouTube to hear from you, but it's good to hear from you. I'm just kidding. We talked yesterday. I digress. Then 10:30, Carolina and Vegas. That's some pretty good. Now, if you can pull yourself away from Columbus and San Jose, of course, because that game's on at 10:30, and that's a barn burner.
Love how you say best for last there.
Oh yeah, Columbus Sharks. You guys want to do a quick preview? Sharks +110. All right. So yeah, some great weekend action in the NHL plus NBA All-Star Weekend. Which, full disclosure, I'm a huge sports fan. I just found that out. I guess I haven't been paying attention. Andre promptly.
I only know about it because Stephen A. Smith hurt himself.
He what?
He hurt himself in practice for like the celebrity game tonight. I had to do an article on that earlier today. That's the only reason I knew the NBA All-Star game was this weekend.
Oh, dude. I love me some Stephen A. Smith. I think it's strictly because he hates the Cowboys, and that's good enough for me.
It helps for sure. It helps.
Yeah, 100%. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching or listening, whatever it is that you are doing. We appreciate you joining us. Good luck on your bet. You too. Good luck to both of your teams in the Stadium Series. We will be back Monday morning at 9 a.m. Have a great weekend. We'll see you then.
Go hard.